Hello everyone, welcome to StudyIQ. So in this video lecture, we will discuss about why China is betting on African countries, why China is emphasizing to increase its investment in African countries, what are the factors responsible which actually are attracting China's investment in African countries. So we will discuss about all these points. This video is presented by me. My name is Saurabh Pandey. To download the PPT of this lecture, you can visit my Facebook page. My ID is Saurabh Pandey 009. If you are preparing for any of the defense exams like CAPF or CDS or FCAT, ND exam, you can avail our pen drive courses. To know about the courses, you can visit our website www.studyiq.com. So let's start this topic. China has taken a pragmatic approach to invest in Africa, taking advantage of excellent growth opportunities. Now, because of the growth opportunities available in African countries, China is emphasizing to increase its investment in these countries. When I'm saying growth opportunities, what does it mean? For any of the countries, growth opportunity simply means like it can get the raw material. Raw material is required for sectors like manufacturing. So for manufactured product, it requires what? It requires different kind of raw materials like copper or other kinds of raw materials which are there in African countries. Second point is about the market. If these products are manufactured, then again the China requires different markets where it can export these finished products. So all these African countries, Libya, Algeria, Nigeria, Chad, Burkina Faso, Guinea, all these countries provide an excellent opportunities for China to grow by providing raw material and at the same point of time by providing different markets. Because of all these factors, in 2015, China's President Xi Jinping announced a plan to invest $60 billion in development projects. These development projects emphasized on reducing poverty, increasing health infrastructure, promoting industrialization. Now the question that can arise in our mind that why China is investing in such a development project. The reason is because by investing in such a development project, China will increase its influence in the region. If it increases its influence in the region, it can control the political power and the economic power of that particular country. And the most important part is by investing in these development projects, China can also increase its presence in these African countries. If you take a look on amount of investment made by China in different countries and continents, if you talk about USA, again a huge investment. Again in European countries also it had made investment. In West Asian countries it had made investment, but before 21st century it has given less priority to African countries. But since early 21st century, like with 2001, 2002, 2003, since early 21st century, China is emphasizing more and more on these African countries, both Saharan countries and sub-Saharan countries and other countries. Suppose if we take a look on the FDI, the foreign direct investment made by the countries in Africa. So in Algeria, Sudan, Zambia or South Africa, in 2005 itself, China has made investment of more than $300 million. In countries like Libya, Egypt or countries like Gabon, it has made investment more than $100 million. So we can simply conclude from this point that since the beginning of 21st century, China is emphasizing on these African countries. Now China's investment is seen not only in infrastructures like coastal railway or hydropower projects, but also emphasized on promoting industrialization in these African countries, like cement plants or different industries. The purpose is to improve the level of industrialization in these African countries. If industrialization improves in African countries, it will help China to increase economic activities in these African countries. This will again provide opportunity to China to explore the market of these African countries. Now, if you see certain data, in 2009, China emerged as Africa's largest trading partner. In 2010, China-Africa trade was about $114.8 billion, up from $8 billion in 2000. Also, China is Africa's largest source of import. Now to enhance our understanding relating to this particular issue, we need to understand this One Belt One Road initiative of China. Now, One Belt One Road initiative of China is what? It is simply that China wants to explore the market available in different part of the world. Earlier, as China is a export oriented economy, now China used to export manufactured product mainly to developed world, mainly European countries and USA. Now, because of adoption of protectionist policy by these developed world, protectionist policy simply means that these countries are increasing tariff and non-tariff barrier. Because of these protectionist policies followed by the developed world, China has an apprehension that if it has the dependency on these developed world, then its economy could be affected. That is the reason China is searching for alternative options, alternative markets. And in the background of this context, China has developed this One Belt One Road initiative, as per which China is developing different economic corridor to explore different market available in these areas, like Western European countries or Central Asia or Middle East countries or Indo-China region. In these countries, even in India, you have different sub corridors like China-Pakistan Economic Corridor or BCIM. In addition to One Belt One Road initiative, China is also trying to explore the market of African countries, because in Africa you have more than 40 countries. In general, we have this perception in our mind that Africa is kind of a single country, but it is not a single country. You have more than 40 countries in Africa. And if China's presence increases in Africa, then it will not only be able to explore the market of these African countries, at the same point of time, it will also be able to avail the available raw material which are there in these African countries. Now, if you talk about different raw materials or natural resources which are there in these African countries, so you have petroleum oil, you can say, or natural gas, you have gold, you have diamonds, you have cobalt, you have nickel, you have uranium. Like you require uranium for your nuclear program, so China can avail uranium from African countries. At the same point of time, you have platinum. So you have huge amount of natural resources which are again available there in African countries. So if China has influence in these African countries, so it can easily avail these natural resources. Now, from strategic point of view, if you see African countries like Somalia, Djibouti, Eritrea, Egypt, Libya, Algeria, Tunisia, Morocco, these are some countries which have kind of a very important strategic location. At the same point of time, countries like Kenya or Tanzania, they also have important strategic location. Now, why we are saying that they are strategically located? Because most of the sea routes, important sea routes, they are passing from here. Like for example, this is Mediterranean Sea, this is Suez Canal, this is Red Sea, Gulf of Aden. So this sea route is used by many ships of not only of India or USA or many European countries to reach to different countries or reach to different markets. For example, Indian ship can use this particular route to reach European countries. European countries could use this particular route to reach Southeast Asian countries or India. So if China has a presence or influence in these countries, then China can easily control these sea routes, which will again provide huge strategic advantage to China. Because at the time of aggression, if you talk about in the context of India, at the time of aggression, suppose if you have a war type situation between India and China, then China can use its influence in these countries to control this route. And if China is able to control this route, then it can impact India's economy, because by controlling this route, China can easily limit the export from India, which will again impact India's economic growth. So we can say that why China is betting on African countries, mainly because African countries are providing excellent growth opportunities to China by providing what? By providing raw material, at the same point of time acting as a market for Chinese product. Although there is one more opinion, and the opinion is that the Chinese-African relationship is not without flaws, as many grow distrustful of Chinese geopolitical influence. It is said that increase in China's influence and presence in African countries will result into neo-colonialism. It means what? That China's presence and influence will help China to control the economic and political power of African countries, which will further result into a kind of a neo-colonialism, which will again impact the development of African countries. At the same point of time may also impact the sovereignty of African countries. It is also said that as China is investing on infrastructure in African countries, in return of what? That African countries are providing minerals to China. Now this particular situation in future may further result into what? Increase in the dependency of African countries on China, which will again further result into a situation of neo-colonialism. Now to conclude, we can say at first glance the Chinese-African relationship seems simple and based on Chinese exploitation on African resources. However, the relationship is very complex and multi-layered. We cannot simply say that the Chinese-African relationship is only based on the aspect of Chinese exploitation. Rather, the relationship is a multi-layered relationship. Although we can say that Africa is the experimental ground in China's pursuit of binding the developing economies of the world together. In simple words, we can say that by increasing the economic activities in African countries, China is trying to connect different developing economies across the world. Now, how far it will be true, we can only decide again in future. So in this video lecture, we have discussed about why China is betting on African countries. I hope this video lecture may have helped you to understand the issue. Thank you for watching the video.